What is my opinion about the protein sparing modified fast? You asked for it, here it is. So when I've been asked this question over and over and over again for the past 3 months, my answer has always been, I don't have an opinion because I don't know enough about it. And so I've spent a lot of time doing research into this topic so I can make a video. This video is going to be set up in a way where I first give you some objective, factual, scientific data, and then I give you my subjective or opinionated ideas. Okay, so we're going to cover a lot in this video. Hang in there with me. First of all, if you've tried the protein sparing modified fast, I would love for you to share your experience with it in the comments for those watching this video so they can hear a bunch of different stories from a bunch of different people. I think that would be super helpful. Right out of the gate, I want to say, please go do your own research. Don't just listen to me. Don't just listen to someone else. And I want you to listen to both sides of the argument. So listen to someone who loves it and listen to someone who hates it and listen to someone who has no bias whatsoever. So what I did was I went and listened to some podcasts with some different people. I'll put what I watched and researched in the comments for you guys. I went to PubMed and read a completely unbiased review on PSMF. And I just did overall research on the topic. I watched real people also, so not just experts. I listened to people who had tried it themselves and I listened to how they felt about it, which is another reason why I want you guys to put your experience in the comments. Obviously, personal experience is anecdotal, but I think it would help those of you listen to real people who have tried it, not just bodybuilders or experts or people who are already healthy, but those of you who obviously are looking to this way of dieting as a weight loss hack. What is PSMF? So it's a protein-sparing modified fast, very low-calorie diet designed to aid in weight loss and prevent muscle loss. It severely restricts calorie consumption while increasing the intake of protein-rich foods. Additionally, the intake of carbs and fats is also limited in this diet. It was introduced in the 70s to help people with obesity lose weight under the guidance of a physician. So that's kind of the backstory on it. Low calorie. From what I found in my research, it's usually under 900, and depending on if you're a small woman or a larger man, it could vary from 700 to 900, depending on who you're working with to do the protein sparing modified fast. And again, depending on who you're working with, if you're working with a coach or you're doing a protocol, it also integrates refeeding days. And those refeeding days can either be 1,200 calories or your normal amount of calories. It's done both ways by different people. In my research, there were questions I wanted answered. Is this safe? And is this effective? And I got that information from the factual, unbiased articles written on PubMD, which I will link in the description below. And so the answer to both of those questions is yes, it is safe, and yes, it is effective, but in this research study, it's talking about physiologically, right? And is it safe physiologically? So yes. Are you gonna die if you do PSMF? Probably not. But it's not taking in the psychological aspects of it. And for a lot of people, and I'm talking about the general population, a lot of you who came to keto came from a very restrictive way of eating, yo-yo dieting, low calories, and you found keto because it was a little bit more freeing for you and you didn't feel as restrictive, and maybe you had an unhealthy relationship with food. So I've talked about this with ketovore as well. So when you restrict yourself in a way that pulls the pendulum so far back that you mentally swing back completely in the other direction, and when you eat in a restrictive way, you go all the way back to maybe having a binge, maybe having a full week of cheating. If you have a history of that, maybe this isn't for you, but that's all up to you. You have to make a personal choice. I would encourage you to get your labs done prior to trying a protein sparing modified fast, but I would recommend that before you did any change in your way of eating as a baseline, so you can see, you know, did things improve? Did nothing change? Because the scale is probably going to change, right? It's effective in fat loss. But also there are so many other markers involved that you want to be monitoring. And so I do recommend getting a baseline lab. I think that that's just good advice when you change your eating in any way. So this is a very extreme and restrictive way of eating. But that can be said about keto, ketovore, carnivore by someone on the outside looking in, right? So the main difference in how restrictive this way of eating is super, super low calorie. That is a little bit more extreme than, say, just going carnivore or going ketovore or even doing the PE diet. All right, so the moment you've all been waiting for, what is my opinion on PSMF? I think that it's extremely restrictive. I think that the calories are super, super low, and I wouldn't recommend this to someone who hasn't tried everything else to break a stall. And I have a complicated view of stalls. Okay, I've never dealt with a stall. I don't know what you may be going through. This may be something that you really need to do for your mental health and you just can't get the weight off, etc., etc. And maybe you've tried increasing protein and lowering fat. And maybe you've tried the PE diet. Maybe you did 6 weeks of carnivore and nothing has worked. And this is the last thing that you're gonna try. I think then that is a tool that can be utilized. And I think that it probably will be effective, but I would 100% never do this. Even if I was stalled, I would never do this. I have an autoimmune disease. I have Hashimoto's. My thyroid was wrecked, and I feel like eating that low of calories, even if I had 30 more pounds to lose, could potentially flare up my autoimmune disease, maybe do something intense to my body, and I would react poorly. If you have any autoimmune disease, I would definitely talk to your provider before starting something like this, just because calorie restriction and thyroid issues typically don't go well together. So check in with your provider. At the very least, I would think working with a keto wellness nutrition coach would be the best way to go about this. And there's plenty of them out there. So see if you can look into that. You may not be able to afford that, but I think it would be a good idea. So in conclusion, I think the PSMF thing is super extreme. I don't think anyone's out there saying it's not extreme. It is. The calories are super, super low. But if you're someone who this is the last thing you're gonna try, you've tried everything else, you've worked with a coach, nothing is working, maybe this is the key you've been looking for to unlock some fat loss for yourself. Best advice I can give you is to do your own research and make an informed decision for yourself, because you're the only person in your body. You're the only person who can know what's right and wrong for you. And that's my opinion. I hope I kind of answered some questions for you guys about how I feel about this. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit that thumb button before you head out of here, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you, mean it. Bye.